Howdy! I look like really different from how I normally do. I think I got a haircut or something. Anyways, welcome to a new series of mine, I Want to Talk About. A series where I and my little dude can talk about whatever I feel, ranging from movies, music, personal anecdotes, and whatever the hell else I want to talk about. And today I will be going through the history, the creation, the movie itself, the reception, and the long-lasting impact of my favorite movie of all time. Today, I want to talk about Dog Day Afternoon.
One of the strangest hijack attempts to date began yesterday when two gunmen held up a bank in Brooklyn, New York. The gunmen got $29,000, but before they could leave, police moved in and the bank robbers seized 8 hostages. It all ended 15 hours later at New York's Kennedy Airport. ABC's Charles Burke has the story.
John Stanley Joseph Wadowitz was an American bank robber whose story inspired the 1975 film Dog Day Afternoon. I ripped that straight from the Wikipedia article. That is John's mark on history, his legacy.
And yeah, he showed up with a paper bag filled with nude photos of his various lovers. And the first thing he did was grab Frank's crotch. And then I thought he was going to shake my hand, but he really just grabbed my hand and started sucking on one of my fingers.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the beginning of the relationship.
That was Alison Berg, director of the 2013 documentary The Dog. John had an almost demented sense of humor. I found several photos of him standing in front of the very bank he robbed over the years. His mother loved him deeply and even stood by his side until his death in 2006. In 1967, after returning from the Vietnam War, John married Carmen Bifolco, had 2 kids with her, but separated in 1969. Afterwards, John spent a lot of his time frequenting local gay epicenters such as the Stonewall Inn and Danny's. In 1971, at the San Gennaro Festival, he met Elizabeth Eden, the two of them marrying within months. Elizabeth Eden was a transgender woman whom John had robbed the bank to pay for her sex change. John is a deeply fascinating person. I, myself, am queer, frankly what turned me onto Dog Day Afternoon, and the more I read about John, the more interesting he becomes. During the war, it is said that is when he discovered sex with men, and while John never labeled himself, it is most reasonable to say he was bisexual with a strong preference for men. With Elizabeth Eden, he loved her with his whole being, loved her more than his own mind could handle. While conducting an interview in prison, he would often call her by the wrong pronouns and her dead name. But to be frank, 1972 was a much different time. He had many male lovers until his death. I won't be going through much of the actual robbery in this section as the film focuses solely on it, but the more I find out about John, the more I find myself smiling. John, while a strange and off-putting man, was able to easily bring people towards him, even a member of the Gay Activist Alliance at one point. Above all else, John made a story that to this day still captivates the masses, so much so that he hadn't even left the cell he was thrown in before someone came along and made a movie about him. To the dog.
If I had a dream, and in that dream I saw everything that happened, would I still go out and do it? You're damn right I would still go out and do it.
But we're never told how unlonely the life of a screenwriter is. To survive, the screenwriter must daily, hourly, cope with the megalomania of his director, the hysteria of his producer, and the passion of his star. To my prejudiced eye, the screenwriter is the unsung hero of the movies. And the winner is Price Waterhouse. Frank Pearson for Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon has been my favorite movie since I first watched it when I was 15. I immediately fell in love with the characters, the dialogue, and the story, so what better place to start with than the script? Frank Pearson wrote the screenplay. He would go on to write the screenplay for Mad Men and The Good Wife, and write and direct A Star is Born, the original. Needless to say, he was one of the rare ones in Hollywood. I have him to thank for such fantastic characters and for finding the original story of John as fascinating as I do. That being said, on set, much of the dialogue was improvised on the spot and the script was changed to reflect it. I would love to see the original version of the screenplay. I would also like to add, to no fault of Mr. Pearson, that some of the script formatting is really freaking strange. From what I can tell, this was a really hectic filming process, so I completely understand. The filming process of the movie was apparently really rough. The role was made for Al Pacino, literally. A lot of newspapers called John and Al Pacino or Dustin Hoffman in looks. So it's double ironic that when Pacino was exhausted and depressed from shooting The Godfather and initially turned down the role, their second choice was Dustin Hoffman. However, that could have just been Sidney Lumet throwing Pacino's rival at him to take the job. Pacino always goes method, at least back during his boy toy days, and only slept a few hours a night, ate little, and would take cold showers just to get the wired yet exhausted appearance of Sonny, which likely led to his hospitalization halfway through filming. And he had to do the phone scene with Leon twice just to be exhausted enough. At the very end of an entire day of shooting with no air conditioning. Most of it was filmed in the cold weather, not the hot day it was supposed to be, and so the actors had to keep putting ice in their mouths to keep their breath from showing. Needless to say, Lumet is a madman, but a fucking brilliant one. Everything else on the film was equally as insane. They had no film lighting on purpose. They used only the lights already in the buildings, street lamps, and car headlights. Production started right after July 4th and had to be in theaters in December, so the whole production was tight. They worked day and night. Dee Dee Allen and her group of editors were editing at the same time they were filming, usually ending up with more film than they could edit. They had 3 weeks of rehearsals, 7 weeks of filming, and still got the film done in less than 2 months with 3 weeks to spare until the premiere. Lumet forbid the art director, cinematographer, and costumers from meeting up just to make the film look more real. And honestly, I didn't know where else to put this, so I'm putting it right here. Apparently the bank set they constructed out of a warehouse was so convincing that many people showed up to open an account during filming.
I'm a fuck up and I'm an outcast, and that's it. You come near me, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get fucked over and fucked out.
Now I'll give you guys a quick rundown of the basic plot of the movie, using insider knowledge from screenwriters in the film industry. Start with the Freytag pyramid. I'm sure you guys have seen plot pyramids before if you've done anything with film or storyboarding or anything like that. Which, side note, if you write literally anything, you should use this structure. This is what sells, and I mean anything and everything. Screenplays for film and TV, novels, shorts, plays, and even beats and music. There's 5 important plot points that you need. First, the challenge. Second, the departure. Up here is the dilemma. Down here, this is rock bottom. And over here is the resolution. This is the formula that sells in the business, no matter what. And then in between depart and dilemma, this is fun and games. And between dilemma and rock bottom, that is hell on earth. Basically, to explain, fun and games is all the stuff that makes your characters like go up and get to that highest point of their arc. So everything that they do successfully. And then hell on earth is everything that goes completely wrong for your character until they're at their lowest point possible in the story. The challenge for Sonny is to leave the bank.
Go, you please go now. We gave you everything we got. Okay, we're going. Answer the phone.
And in the screenplay, we first see that on page 19. And before Sonny leaves the bank, that's just the setup. Setup is easy. And then after the challenge of leaving the bank is presented, that is when we have the quote-unquote no section. So while it's not Sonny saying no to the challenge of leaving the bank, he wants to leave the bank, but things keep happening where he can't leave the bank.
Telephone call for you.
The girls need to go pee.
I'll have to go to the toilet.
He refuses to come out when Moretti asks him to.
You come to the front door with hands falling on.
Hang it up.
He looks for alternate routes, but blocks the back door.
All right, now I want to block that door in case they try coming in. I can hear it.
Then it easily flows into the departure or the decision in this movie, since he's trapped by the FBI crowds and news surrounding him on all sides. On page 30 to 33.
There's the FBI.
Effectively trapping him, then there's the fun and games. The bank workers listening to him and respect him.
Hey, don't fire! Don't fire! What are you doing?
The crowd turns against the police. They favor Sonny. He has Moretti in the palm of his hands, getting anything he wants. Everything is going well for Sonny. He is on top of it. And you know what they say? What goes up must come down. Sonny shoots the first shot. And that's on page 60. That is the reversing point. That's what the dilemma is. What happens where the fun and games now turns into hell on earth? So Sonny shoots the first shot because everyone hears it. The cops, the workers, the crowd, they were all for the guy until he fired his gun, using the same thing he used to get them on his side to turn against him. Then, hell on earth. Sonny gets tackled. Sonny gets outed when his wife Leon is taken onto the scene.
What's that?
We went to Bellevue where you told us. Said he was his wife.
He's a queer.
Present events and calling the marriage a farce and, quote, a case of sheer exhibitionism, end quote.
Leon refuses to talk to him.
He doesn't want to talk to you.
What do you mean he won't talk to me? Why?
Now, let me work on it.
He don't want to talk to me.
They lose power. He gets pushed into a deal over Sal's life.
We'll handle Sal.
You think I sell him out, you fuck?
And his call with both of his wives don't go as planned.
Well, you're not dying. You're killing the people around you is what you're doing.
Oh, come on. Leon, don't give me that shit. You know, I don't need that deep shit now.
Shut the fuck up and listen to me! Just listen to me!
You see that scene with the language and everything?
And then we hit rock bottom, which I'm gonna put over here. And worst of all, he starts to doubt himself. His rock bottom, as he yells at his mom that he's a fuck up, that he's hurt everyone he loves, that he's nothing but a freak and outcast.
He says he doesn't have a son. He says you're dead.
He's right. I'm a fuck up and I'm an outcast, and that's it. You come near me, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get fucked over and fucked out.
That his dad disowns him, that his mother is better off doing the same, that is Sonny at his lowest. As far as resolutions go, they're always up for interpretation based off of what aspect of the story you're following. So for Dog Day Afternoon, there's 3 of them. First, Sonny writes his will.
Being of sound mind and body, you know, and all what they...
Secondly, they leave the bank. And third, Sal dies.
Sal?
What?
Ready to go?
We don't want any accidents at this point, right? You keep your gun pointed up. I'm ready.
Marshal.
And those respectively happen on pages 106, 112, and 118. Let's go into why there might be 3 resolutions to a story. The first one comes when Sonny is writing his will, meaning he has given up all hope. He's effectively changed from how he started. He started off as this guy who was chipper and let's get at it, and then he's writing his will. The second and true resolution is when he finally leaves the bank. It's what his original challenge was, and it has been fulfilled. He has successfully completed the arc. And the third is when Sal dies, ending the promise of Sheldon, the FBI guy. So, on that hell on earth, he was forced into an agreement against his will, pretty much, where Sal dies, and he knew that was going to happen. So that could also be seen as a resolution. So that is quite the depressing end for our dear Sonny boy.
Sidney Lumet came up to me during the filming of this, and he said, "Al, it's out of our hands, buddy. It's out of our hands." And that's the feeling that I had with it. It was just took its own life.
I'm gonna be real, this is just gonna be me gushing about a few specific scenes, which I can't play in their entirety, but I'll go through specific sections. But first is Attica!
Yeah, huh? Kiss me, man. What? Kiss me. When I'm being fucked, I like to get kissed a lot.
Come on.
Makes me laugh without fail every time. The delivery is perfect. The actor who played Moretti had no clue Pacino was gonna say that, and it's an immensely quotable line. I quoted it before I had even seen the movie. And young Pacino was just so precious with his little kiss and salute. I literally put it in the thumbnail. That's how much I love that part.
Attica! Attica!
Chills. Every damn time. So fucking good. Another improv moment from Pacino, and it flows so well into
Fucking guns down! Guns down!
the raw fucking emotion Pacino delivered those lines with. Charles Durning sells so well, practically tripping over himself just to get everyone to move. And just when you thought the scene as a whole couldn't get better, do you hear that in the background? The noise of the helicopter was throughout the entire scene, slowly building into this wonderful shot that shows the full scope of everything. Dee Dee Allen, you were a damn good woman.
Nobody move! Get over there!
Okay.
I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it works so well with the whole Sonny has never done this before and is in way over his head. Also gets a good little chuckle out of me.
What?
Why'd he say it like that? Me. All the damn time.
Goodbye, huh?
Oh my god. So raw, so emotional, so stunning. Everything in this scene was improvised by Pacino and Chris Sarandon. Even if you never sit down and watch this movie, I beg of you to watch the phone scene and the Attica scene. They're true works of art and character. Pure fucking emotion. Raw. I could go on about this section for hours, but at that point I would be showing you all the full movie, and I do not want to get sued. Speaking of money...
And the bank itself was an empty warehouse. We built the bank in it because I needed what we call wild walls. In other words, the ability to move the wall away. So I could put the camera there. Had our production offices in the same warehouse. Everything shot right there.
Movies don't get much better than this. It's gritty, it's realistic, it's funny, it's suspenseful, and it has a number of just terrific performances. Charles Durning, Chris Sarandon, John Cazale, Carol Kane, Penelope Allen, and of course, the incomparable Al Pacino at the height of his powers.
Dog Day Afternoon is regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. It was a box office success as well, with a budget of about $3.8 million. It made about $56 million, the equivalent of $282 million today. While nothing crazy by today's standards, the budget was incredibly cheap for a feature and passes the complicated math that is the actual amount of money a film costed. With advertising, the film costed about $5.7 million, and if you take off what theaters made in profit and only focused on what the production company made, the film still made about quadruple the cost to make it. Obviously, the math is based off of today's standards, and the ratios could have been different back then. It was still a great success. It was nominated for every major category at the Oscars, but lost in all but one to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Frank Pearson took home Oscar for the Best Original Screenplay. Reviews have always been positive since the film was released. It sits at an 8.0 on IMDb, 96% on 51 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 90% audience rating. The fourth acting Oscar Pacino had been nominated for in a row, Chris Sarandon's first Oscar nomination on his film debut. Attica, Attica is ranked as the 86th best movie quote by AFI. Roger Ebert thinks it's a great movie, selected by Congress to be preserved in the National Film Registry, part of 1,001 movies you must see before you die, and the top 250 in narratives on Letterboxd. I would say it's well loved by the masses. And it is still a relevant story to this day. According to IMDb, it has been referenced 262 times, spoofed 25 times, and strangely remade twice, one of which is an Italian remake and the other a Chinese version. Basically, if you can think about any moment in a TV show, film, game, whatever, that has someone rob a bank but it is actually a pretty nice guy, you've likely got Dog Day Afternoon to thank for that.
You know something, people? You're gonna be remembered the rest of your lives for the day you got held up and kidnapped.
At approximately 3 p.m. on August 22nd, 1972, Sonny Wurtzig and Sal Naturale entered the First Brooklyn Savings Bank and attempted a robbery.
Jesus, that was a lot of talking for someone who doesn't even like their own voice. But in all honesty, this is my favorite movie of all time, and I just wanted to geek out about it. I didn't even touch on sound, which I'm not very knowledgeable on, so I'll just throw the few thoughts I have here. There's no score or background music or musical cues in this movie. There's a few snippets of Uriah Heep and the Looney Tunes song in it, but other than Amarina by Elton John, there's no music. Everything else is just like Foley and actual sounds. Anyways, let me know if you guys like this format of video. It took me a long time to make, and it's really different than literally anything else I've ever made. Feel free to follow me on my other platforms at PCDooley on pretty much everything, and on Twitch at PCDooleyLive. And let me know if you've seen this movie before. Let me know your thoughts if you do end up watching it. For Sonny.